For me, I love a big fancy reveal.
Hello and welcome to Ctrl Alt Cosplay, a podcast of general conversation and absolute tomfoolery. We're your hosts, Siobhan and Lydia, and today we have a very special guest and our first international guest, C0c0cosplay. Hello.
Hello there.
Hello, hello. Also known as Coco.
That's right. Nice to meet y'all. I go by Coco Cosplay and I live in South Korea.
Yeah, this is our very first international podcast, to the fact where not just one of us is abroad, but two of us are abroad.
Yeah.
And we're all on very different times, I think.
No, I think me and Coco are on the same...
I think so, yeah, same time.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just you then. Well,
yes,
I'm in the morning.
6 and Sib is coming up to 10 a.m. So
Yeah.
a wild time.
It's a reasonable time.
Yeah, I thought it'd be harder than it was actually to schedule something, but yeah, it's worked out quite well.
I'm happy.
Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah. I thought because we're going away, me and Sib, we kind of panic recorded a bunch of episodes in advance, and then I thought, actually, I know Coco is in South Korea. Would it be okay if she came on the podcast? And I asked you and you said yes, which was very nice of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's very good. And I was going to say, so I know Coco through, we did the 80s Disney collaboration, which is coming out soon.
It is.
And I think, yeah, it was really fun. My first ever kind of online collaboration where lots of us meet and kind of put stuff on together, and then Coco collates it all together. But you're kind of known for doing these online collaborations because you did a Barbie one before that, and you're working on another Barbie one, right?
I am. So, yeah, I've done, oh goodness, let me see. We did an 80s aerobics Sailor Moon collab. I did a Barbie collab before the movie last year. We've done some Disney collabs. We have another Barbie collab coming up, and actually another Disney collab.
So exciting.
There's been quite a few. I think we've done 2 or 3 Lord of the Rings. So yeah.
How have I not seen the Lord of the Rings one?
Sib's like, Lord of the Rings?
You have my attention.
Oh, you need to check out Coco's Lord of the Rings cosplays because they are beautiful.
I need to.
They're very pretty. I'm always in awe of just how delicate your work is and just how pretty everything is. As someone who slaps stuff together and is cool, I'm a cartoon character. Looking at your eye for detail, I think is so wonderful. But no, not Lord of the Rings collaborations. What do you like about doing online ones? Because obviously they must be a lot of work. But how did you get into them, and why?
Oh man, so I started them in 2020 because COVID kind of hit so suddenly and so hard. And for me, cosplaying is how I meet friends in where I am in Korea. We meet up to take photos. We go to little events. We'll go to cafes and cosplay. And then suddenly it was psych, you're staying home. You can't do any of this. And it was well, I'm not going to stop cosplaying because, it makes me happy. It's pretty much what I do all the time. And then I started thinking, I was if I feel this way, I bet, other people probably feel this way. We're stuck in homes, we're stuck in towns, we're not able to do anything. And I was okay, what if we choose a theme and everybody kind of, makes a costume for that. And then we just post it together because we're all cosplaying, even though we're in different places. And then it really worked out for me because, being in South Korea, it's not I can go to, the anime conventions in the US or in the UK where a lot of my friends are. So it was okay, we are cosplaying together, even though, we're in completely different countries. And so I really got the start. I think the first one I did was just okay, we'll just post Lord of the Rings photos. And then I was what if we did, a video for it? And that one I think really took off was when I was let's do videos where everybody has a part and you'll do this and I'll do this. And then I'll just kind of mash it together in a video. And it just was a lot of fun.
I was going to say the video element of it, I think, is what makes it so unique because I think a lot of cosplayers do collaborations, and I know the JoJo group, they do a lot. And Lore Olympus cosplayers also do a lot of photo collabs, so it's really nice that the video environment.
And I think for me, my major in college, funny enough, I'm teaching English in Korea, but my major in college was newspaper journalism or not newspaper journalism, mass communication and speech. And I wanted to go into television. So I did a lot of video editing in college. And I always joke with friends now, like, see, I'm using my degree. My professors would be so happy.
I know that feeling.
That's the episode title. I'm using my degree.
Because I have to, with the videos, it's a lot of, slowing down some videos or speeding up certain videos, cutting out small pauses and trying to sync everything together as much as I can to make it kind of look like it was just filmed in one go. And that, for me, is just so much fun and so exciting.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I've only seen a snippet of the work that goes into the 80s one, because you kind of shared, like, this is what I'm working on for the 80s Disney aerobic. And I thought, this is so much work. Like, I was like, I could never. Like, it's such a nice idea, but no. So, like, how much work actually does go into it? Because I know you have to kind of get people. You have to come up with the idea, you have to get people, then you have to, like, keep them on track and then put it together. So how much work goes into it? How much time?
How big is the spreadsheet?
Oh, God. I swear I need to start doing spreadsheets. And every time I'm like, I'm going to do this. But really what it is like the notes app on my phone is just...
Oh, no.
That's a level of stress no one needs.
That's it. Interview over. I can't deal. No, not using a spreadsheet. That's blasphemy.
I'm not. Because I am so bad at spreadsheeting, but like that notes app, I have things like highlighted bullet points, and then, this is the person, this is the look they're doing, this is how many looks they're doing, this is their time, you have from 4 seconds to 7.5.
Oh,
jeez.
That's madness. Not using a spreadsheet.
I can feel the head and the hands.
My head in my hand.
It's truly a lot. And then it is a lot of work, because we'll think of me and one of my friends, we're always the ones planning it. We'll think of, an idea, and I'll usually throw it at her like, oh my God, wouldn't this be fun? We have to do it. And she is so good about being like, that's great. What if we did like this? And then we just run from there. So we'll do like a call out post. And then for a couple of weeks, I will just post it, every few days until usually I like to keep it between about 10 and 13 people. It's just easier for like photo posts because you can double each picture. And then for videos, just aesthetically, it's really pleasing. And then it's, getting everyone, okay, this is what we're doing. This is the deadlines. This is, how it's going to go. Are you okay with this? Can I add you to the group chat? Because some people want to join, but they're not necessarily group chat fans. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I can keep you updated over here, or you can mute it.
That seems like such a shame. Because surely, being a collaboration is to, meet new people and who also share the same fandom, right? I understand it.
And that's what I encourage. I encourage people to join, because I think if you're thinking about it and you think, okay, well, maybe it's just me feeling this way. No. Because if you're in the group chat, you're going to see people like, ooh, I thought of this outfit, but I don't know if I like it. Or I wanted to do this, but I don't know if I can. And everyone in the chat is usually just like 100% like, oh my God, no, this will be perfect. You have to do it, or you could do it this way. And it's just such a fun collaboration of so many people.
Yeah, and you get people from all over as well. So it's not just limited to the people in Korea. Like I said, I've joined and I'm in the UK, and I know there was some people in America this time.
Yeah. When we do it, I just really try to it's a first come first thing. I post it up and I'm just like, if you're new to Instagram, if you've been cosplaying for years, if you've never cosplayed and this could be your first time, like if you want to join, you can, follow these guidelines, turn everything in on time. You are welcome to join the collab that I do. You know, some are very easy and it's just, you know, think of this like, you know, Sailor Moon, but aerobics, or Disney, but very everyday. And then others are a little bit harder. So I try to make sure with people like, okay, this is very sewing intensive. Are you able to do it? But really, it's just open for whoever wants to join.
So I know the Barbie collaboration that you're currently kind of calling people for is very dance heavy, which is why I was like, not for me, because the aerobics was enough. So I'm like, I'm just waiting to see this come out. Sib was there when we recorded the aerobics, so she knows what it's like.
Lydia and a planned routine is something to witness.
But y'all's routine was so fun and so cute. Like the moment you posted and you were like, okay, our videos are uploaded, I ran to the folder and I was like, oh my god, let's look and see. Like it hyped me up because I was like, okay, who's gonna be the, you know, first person to do this? And so I was so happy y'all could join, and it was great. Like I cannot wait for y'all to see it.
I'm really excited for the video, but yeah, it's like Colbert said, our friend Colbert a few years ago. She was trying to teach me to dance, and she was like, wow, you really can't dance. And I was like, yeah, I know, thank you. Like, you know the struggle and how many times it took me to do one, like, just do my arms and legs at the same time. And then you've got Nat, who's like a dancer, who just like bashes it out, and I'm like, great, cool, I'm going to do mine again, like 4 more times.
There was one move where you had to put your arms up, one went out and your head went a different way, and you just, something in your brain was not connecting of where you had to look, and me and Nat were just like, no, just, oh my god, please. It was very funny.
I know exactly which move you're talking about.
Exactly.
And I can tell you honestly, I think every person in the collab for that one move just does it differently every single time.
Exactly.
It makes no sense. It's like head, arms, and legs. I can't. No. Yeah, we hired a little village hall near me, and honestly, we had to have it was like a heat wave in the UK, so we like closed the blinds as much as possible. But God knows what people thought when they were walking past and just saw us in the air and looking the wrong way. But yeah, it was really fun. I'm really glad that I was part of it, and I definitely want to do more in future, but maybe not.
Yes!
There's something really lovely about when people get together for like a collaboration, and it's just the shared joy of whatever the subject is.
Yeah, like that's honestly so much of the fun, is just you get to meet people who you can, you know, scream about this thing that you love, and no one's gonna be like, oh, are you talking about that again? Because it's like we all love this one thing, and so we're all ready to just talk about it and do it, and it's so great, and I just love that.
It's just making, you know, new memories with new people, and you do get to sort of meet people you wouldn't run across in the convention hall or anything, especially if you're, you know, transatlantic or across the world. Or
yeah, and I think that was definitely one of the key factors was through these collabs, because I've had people still to this day when I post them, I'll have people message like, well, I would join it, but I don't live in Korea. And I'm like, yeah, I think only one other person does, and it's the person I'm planning this with. Like, you're able to join it from wherever you are, and you get kind of that sense of community to be able to do this with so many people. And through the collabs that I've done, I mean, I've made just amazing friends who we've joined multiple collabs together, because it's like, well, I did this one, do you mind if I join? Like, yes, you're always, if you've done one, you can do another and another. Like, it just is a sense of community. You get to meet so many new people, and I think that's just the best thing about it.
I think it always gives people a deadline, like, oh, I've wanted to do this cosplay for ages. You're like, cool, I'm posting it on this day.
Yes!
So you need to do this. So it also gives people that sort of motivation to get on with it, you know, but also to try different styles. Like, I don't think Lydia or Nat Cosplay Choreo had ever thought about 80s dance Disney.
No, I don't even like the 80s that much.
Exactly.
Like, if I'm going to pick a time period, it wouldn't be the 80s. Like,
see?
There was something so fun about it. And I was like, I don't know. And I saw the Barbie collaboration before that Maddie, Dame Deadly did.
Yes!
So Maddie did, and I was like, how on earth did Maddie get to be part of one of Coco's collabs? And I was like, how did this happen? And then out an open call, and I was like, oh, like immediately, yeah.
It's
I was
like
like, I can't do Barbie. But I mean, yeah, like I remember Maddie doing it, and I was like, Maddie. So yeah, so then I realized just how easy it was. Like Maddie's not special. No.
Wow, you're gonna send that clip straight to her.
No,
it's just gonna be the only clip that ever plays, just right there.
Yep. Out of context, cancellation.
Just me saying Maddie's not special.
Yeah.
Cancelled.
I was gonna say, yeah. So I saw the collaboration you did, the Barbie collab with Maddie, and I was like, I want to do this, but I don't know, like, how do I become part of like one of these collabs? And then you posted the Disney one, and I was like, I mean, I always have Tink ready to go. And then
your
so
Tink
I kind of,
is just, when you messaged, I was just like, Tinkerbell. Like, Peter Pan is my favorite Disney. Like, I post a lot about Sleeping Beauty because she's my favorite princess, but Peter Pan is my favorite media of like all time. So anytime I see Tinkerbell, I'm like, oh my god.
It makes me so happy. It's really funny because I remember when I first, like, I'm just going to go on a little, like, I don't know, fangirl moment. When I first started following you, I know that you do Tinkerbell, and then you do Sailor Venus, and then you did you Tokyo Mew Mew as well?
Did I do which one? I did, yes. Tokyo Mew Mew.
Scrolling through your feed, like, oh my god, this person has the best taste in everything. Like of all the characters, like, you had my favorite each time, and I was like, excellent, perfect. Like, yeah, so yeah, it makes me happy to hear that you like my Tink, because honestly, yeah, that's great.
I do. I can't
remember what my point was. I just like went on a tangent and, like, Venus. Oh, I remember. So my question was going to be like, what inspires you to do the collaboration? Are you just kind of like at the gym and you're like 80s Disney?
So,
and then like it works? Like,
it kind of is. So the collaboration, like this one for the 80s Disney, I think we were in Seoul, and it was me and Suya Will. She's the one who you'll always see posting in the collab. She's like my second in command. We were in Seoul, and she sent the video, like the original video, and she was like, oh my god, I saw this on the feed, and I was like, I just watched that last week, and I really want to recreate it. And I was like, but you know, like, if we just do, oh, it's Saved by the Bell, and it's the song, I was like, that's fun, but we could do it better. And I was like, what if we did, you know, we were like, what if we did Disney princesses in 80s styles that represent their character to the song? We were like, the choreo's easy. The 80s outfits would be, you know, really easy for people. It doesn't have to be super expensive. And that's how a lot of our collabs are, is, you know, we'll be like, oh, we should do a Barbie collab. What if we did a Barbie collab and we made, you know, a commercial instead of like a pass the brush, which is what we did for the collab last year. Yeah. This new one, we're remaking the party scene from the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
And when we saw like the first trailer, I was like, you know already what I'm thinking. And we were like, we're just gonna, you know, wait for the time. Let's finish some of the collabs we already have planned. And I was like, what if we plan it for the end of the year? You know, like, we could do this for the end of the year, like a New Year's bash. We were like, okay, Barbie collab, let's go. So it's literally the most random thought. I was like, Mean Girls. We should do a Mean Girls Disney collab. You know, Lord of the Rings. What if we did Lord of the Rings, but at this? And then we just kind of run with it.
Honestly, it's so great. But I'm very sad I can't do the Disney. I'm not that I have a Barbie, I have Raquel, but I'm like, I'd still, anything would be included. But yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to, it's not specific Barbies. It's literally just, you know, the colors, your Barbie look, and dancing. So you're always welcome.
You lost Lydia at dancing.
Yeah, next collab, I'll bring Raquel out. I think we've covered everything about collaboration, unless there's anything else you want to add.
I think the only thing I would add is, like, if you ever see a cosplayer posting about doing a collab, message them, because 10 chances to 1, you might look and go, well, I don't think I could do it, or I don't think I could make it. And you really could. It can be very easy. And when you message them, they'll let you know kind of the guidelines for it. And, you know, just jump out of your comfort zone and just try it, because it's honestly like the best thing you can do.
What advice do you have for anyone that either wants to start doing collaborations or, well, yeah, I guess wants to start doing collaborations?
Take your time.
But apparently,
I was gonna say, have a spreadsheet and don't use your notes folder like Coco. And really, I think just do what feels comfortable for you. If you aren't great at, special effects and things, your video doesn't have to have that. If clip by clip editing is super duper hard, just do whatever feels comfortable for you, because the easier it is, the more fun you'll have and the less stressed you'll be, and you can enjoy it.
Do you find a lot of decision making comes down to what trends are popular on social media at the time, or just go with what you feel?
I don't really go by trends, just because for a lot of things I am so far behind. I'm so out of the loop when it comes to like, oh, this anime is popular or this is. And so for me, it's just whatever I think of that seems like it would be fun for a bunch of people to join in. That's what we go with.
I only asked because you mentioned obviously like Barbie is very popular at the moment, and like you mentioned Pass the Brush, which was everywhere at one point.
It was. I love that. I guess that would be one of the trends we did. For Barbie, it's just growing up, I was 100% a Barbie girl. To this day, I still have so many. So I'm so happy that Barbie's like back in the spotlight. It's like, living my childhood all over again. And then for the Pass the Brush, for me, I love a big fancy reveal. And I feel like that's kind of what it is. You go from, oh, okay, this cosplayer is like in a hoodie and, jeans, to then just suddenly they're in this whatever costume it is. And so I love that. It's just the extraness and glamour that you need in your life.
My first ever Instagram reel was a Pass the Brush with Magically Madeline, which was also going into Tinkerbell. And that was during lockdown in the UK as well. So yeah, and that did help me feel connected with other Disney cosplayers, because at that point I was kind of in my hallway just filming cursed reels by myself, and so being part of something was really nice, and it actually got me posting videos which I wouldn't have done before. So yeah, collaborations are great in that regard.
Yeah,
I've seen so many Pass the Brush collaborations, both new and old, like back in when it was first going viral. And the one thing that always bothered me is people were like, pass the brush. It also goes for the Kevin passes to Kevin trend, which is very, very similar. And it's when people like, someone will pass the brush up out of frame and then the next person doesn't reach for it from that same direction. And I'm just like, please, you had one job. And it was the brush being passed the correct way.
That is, honestly, that's 100%. Those are the things you gotta have in your guidelines, because if you just let people go for it, it's gonna be every which where. I'm always very specific, like, film only this way with the back camera, and make sure you hold it for a certain amount of time so that for the editor it's easier.
Yeah, I did throw my brush the right way, but if you watch my reveal, my brush changes hands, and I didn't notice till like 2 years later.
Oh my god!
It starts in my right hand, and then when it kept pull my hand away, it's in Tinkerbell's left hand, and I never noticed. And I was like, "Well, no one said anything."
It's the fairy magic. That's all it is.
Yeah. She's now left. Well, she's now right-handed. Yeah, so that's my stupid. I've never done any other pasta brushes or like collabs and stuff, and I would like to do more. So that'll be like my thing for next year, is try and be more involved, but not organize my own. Did that. My time is over. I would just let other people do the work.
Don't worry, I will have all the notes apps for every collab.
I hate that so much.
You'd be surprised how much I start things in a notes app and then move it to a spreadsheet and then can never go back to the spreadsheet.
I will send you a picture later, because my notes app, it's out of control, man.
You should see the spreadsheet I've done for the Japan trip is a work of art. That's all
It's
I'm going to say. It's beautiful. It's
terrifying.
color-coded. It's beautiful. It has different tabs. Oh, I love it. I love
Oh
a
my God, I
spreadsheet.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so organized.
yeah, and then it got moved to Discord, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Discord
it's not the
does
same.
work a lot easier for when we're like everyone's out, so they're all coming out in like 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
that's easier when we're out and about, I guess. But spreadsheets. Speaking of Japan, you are going to Tokyo Disney soon, right?
We are. We're going to Tokyo Disney the last weekend in September.
Yeah, because you're there. I think you're there the week before we're going, which is like really sad that we're missing each other by like.
I know. When you mentioned that y'all were
Hours.
going, I was like, oh my God, are we going to meet at Disney? No, not quite.
Yeah, it's such a shame. And then I've got two other mutuals in Japan, and one of them, she's working the few days we're going and is going either side of us.
Oh,
And
that's so
then the other one
sad.
just moved back to the UK, and I was like, oh. But yeah. Oh, I do have friends that might be there when we're there, but they're not cosplayers. They're old roller coaster friends, so I'm like, maybe I'll see them. It'll be really weird because I don't think they know I cosplay, but yeah, it's fine.
Oh, I love
yeah.
that when you meet them and it's like, look.
So you're going to Tokyo Disney for the Halloween celebrations where you can cosplay.
Yes.
I know we were going to talk about Korea, but let's just briefly talk about Japan and cosplay in Japan.
Is it an episode of Ctrl or Cosplay where Lydia doesn't bring up Japan?
No.
Is it true that Japan Halloween is the only time you can cosplay in a Disney park? Is that correct?
So the way it works, you can cosplay in, I know for sure, California and Disney World, but you have to buy specific passes, and it's like the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get the pass, you can cosplay. If you don't, well, you're just out of luck.
It starts after a certain time as well, correct?
Yeah.
You can't go in the morning in your cosplay. It's like from 5 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
So it's like an after hours.
After hours kind of thing. Whereupon Tokyo Disney is just from the start of their Halloween celebration, which I think it started today, until
this year.
yeah. And you can just any Disney cosplay, you can come at any time and just cosplay in the park. And that's it. It just has to be Disney. So for people who love cosplaying Disney, I'm always telling them, like, go. Oh my God, if you can go to Tokyo Disney during Halloween, like 100% best time to do it because they go all out. Like, you will see people in the most expensive, gorgeous princess dresses. I've seen Kingdom Hearts cosplayers, just everything you can think of for the Halloween celebration.
It's so good. And also I find that people talk to me a lot more when I'm in cosplay and they're in cosplay. Like, I've had some really nice interactions with other guests just because we're both in cosplay.
I think it makes them kind of less shy.
Yeah. So when I go to Tokyo Disney, apart from this time, obviously with Fletch and Nat, but normally it's just me in cosplay. So it's quite nice to have that kind of interaction with people that also love cosplay. So my question was going to be kind of, how is cosplaying, I guess Tokyo Disney is a kind of its own beast, but how is cosplaying in Japan different to Korea, different to America?
So, oh man. So I think the difference between Korea and Japan is definitely, I feel like Korea has fewer rules.
Yeah.
So
Japan's very strict. I think a lot of people don't realize how strict Japan is about cosplay. Like, you can't do it in the street.
Yes.
You can't go to the event in cosplay. You go there and you get changed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Tokyo Disney has a bunch of rules as well. But even like, I went to Hako Studio, when did I go? Like 2 days ago. And there were so many rules there to go. And you just don't see it kind of out and about in the same way that you would in the UK, I guess.
Yeah. And that, honestly, that's one of the reasons, like, Tokyo Disney, I feel like it's easier to cosplay there because at least in the past years, like, they had the changing room that you could change in, or, you know, you can show up in cosplay and some people might look, but it's not like an outright, oh my God, you're not allowed to come in. Where I feel like other Japanese events, it's very much, you show up in this cosplay, like, you're not getting into the event, you're banned, and just, there are so many rules that you just don't know about.
That's wild because, here in the UK, just the amount of times I've, seen people on the train or out
You
on
just be
location
walking through
shoots.
Basingstoke on a random Saturday, and there'll just be a bunch of
Honestly.
weeds, and you're like,
Yes.
sure, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in town and I'm like, that's an anime person. Like, just on a Wednesday.
100%. But in Japan, and I feel like a lot of people think that you go to Japan and you can just cosplay. And I mean, you can, and you can kind of use the foreign card, like, oh, I made a mistake, but I'm a foreigner. But you definitely are breaking, non-spoken rules. And Korea, for the way that we cosplay here, there just aren't as many rules. Like, it's more of a social thing. Like, some people won't cosplay, in public, or they'll change in the subway bathroom. And then if we're doing photos in a park, they'll come up to the park once they're changed and things. But really, you can cosplay on the subway, and I think a lot of people just think it's a taboo, but really I've cosplayed on the subway, and the elderly people here just find it so interesting. They see you in these, card captor Sakura dresses or a Disney costume, and they're just kind of like, where in your right mind are you going looking like this? Okay, can I touch it? Is this actually your hair? This bright blonde wig that's down to your waist? No? Okay, wow.
Is that your real hair?
Yeah.
I get that one, I think, the most often is, your hair is so pretty. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And then they'll think for a second. They're like, oh, wait, that's a wig, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, it's definitely not mine.
It's the most out of anyone. She just gets random people coming up and being like, I've got to ask, is that your hair? And it's like, no, it's a wig. Whenever she's married her, people just assume it's her real hair and then need to know and touch it. And it's like, no.
Can I feel it? No, please keep your hands out of it. It tangled. But one of the similarities is Korea also has a lot of cosplay studios.
Oh. Sorry, I'm so sad that we just don't have it in the UK. It's just not a thing.
Yeah. And oh my God, I keep telling people, I'm like, look, if you wanted to make money, okay, if you made a cosplay studio, you would draw in so much business. And it doesn't have to be super fancy, but if you did, different sets, like an antique zone or, Japanese kind of room, tea party area, you can do so much with that. And that's the way cosplay rooms here work, is some of them change by season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for summer, one of my favorite studios, they do a set that kind of looks like the ocean.
Oh, cute.
So it's great for if you want to come as a mermaid or do a beach shoot, and then they'll switch it for, Halloween. They'll have full on Halloween decor with skeletons and spider webs, or a cutesy area with pumpkins and things. And they're so cheap. That's really where it gets me.
So cheap compared to what you'd pay in so Hako Studio, I paid £4 an hour.
Okay.
Which is mad.
Yeah.
Which is mad. And then they have a photography service, which is 45 minutes and 10 images, and it's £15. And it's like,
yep.
How are you making money? In the UK, that would be over £100 easy for the photographer alone.
Yes.
Oh, God, yeah.
Easily. In the US, the same exact way. It would be so expensive.
But if it's 45 minutes, imagine, and I assume you get the photos at the end of the day.
I know you get them in a week.
In a week. Well, even better as a photographer. But if you did, say, 9 till 5, 8 hours, so you could book in 8 clients at £15 each. That's maths.
Go math.
Go math. I'm actually doing on a calculator because that's 120 quid a day.
I spent girl math today, so don't talk to me about girl math.
I did girl math yesterday, and I got called out for it. I was like, how old days?
I mean, my argument is that for the viewers that weren't here in the intro, but yeah, the listeners that weren't here earlier, I spent 4 days budget on one thing today, and in my head, it's tax-free. So I made money.
You did. It was worth it.
Oh man. Anyway, sorry, Sim.
Yeah, if you did 8 sessions a day for £15 5 days a week, that's £600 a week.
That is not a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. A week?
I don't know how it works in Japan, but here you book by the hour for our studios, but it can be anywhere from about maybe, I think in pounds it would be like about maybe 15 pounds to about 45 pounds per hour. And you have like the full on studio room. For us, like Haku Stadium, I think it's where it's just everyone's kind of there. And the
Yeah,
Korean
they now
rooms.
do private hire, and that's obviously a
Okay.
little bit more.
Yeah, and the Korean rooms are that. You book like the entire studio room.
That's amazing.
And most rooms will have maybe about 2 to 3 different zones, like in that one room. And you can just go crazy. I have done where I booked like an area for 5 hours and I shot 5 different costumes.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy, but it was so worth it because to this day, I'm still posting photos from that shoot because it was like, I was able to get so many photos per hour of each one. And the best thing I think about it is what we'll do is get like a group of people. So 4 or 5 people. And then that cuts your cost because each person only pays a certain amount. And then, we'll book it from anywhere from 3 to 4 hours and just go wild.
That's mad.
Yeah, it's mad.
There's like 2 studios I can think like that both Lydia and I have shot at, like up north. But cosplayers don't tend to use them as much. That's not their primary customer.
Yeah.
And which
So
is
they're
wild.
more photo studios?
So they have like different sets and things, but you mostly see like families and boudoir and that kind of commercial photography.
Bodyline in Nottingham is probably the closest to what a Japanese and what I imagine a Korean studio is like, where it's multiple sets on one floor, like little, like 5x5, but like enough of a barn set, or they've got a living room, or they've got like a diner.
Yeah,
so
like
they have
bed.
sets, and there's like lights and things. But yeah, they're just used by kind of models that are doing boudoir or like their own portfolio. They're not really booked out by cosplayers in the same way, and I do wonder why. Is it because they're not marketed to cosplayers, or is it
I don't think they are.
Or
it could be that they're not marketed. Like specifically the studios here in Korea, like there's a clear difference. Like we have photo studios, which that'll be for like how you said family photos or portraits and things. And then we have specifically cosplay studios where like 100% it is specifically for people to come and cosplay. Some of them will rent costumes. You have props. You have, you can hire the photographer. Some have where you can just like rent a camera so you can still take your pictures. But they're so official.
Haku Stadium, they have a Canon, a Nikon, and a Sony that you can just borrow for free. You just have to bring your own SD card. Like and that's the thing. I think another difference between the UK and Japan is that the culture is different. I think in the UK, I wouldn't trust people in the same way that I'd have a big free wall of props and I wouldn't give you like I think there's lack of respect and care for things in the UK where like things would get trashed or stolen, or like you just don't have that in Japan. And I assume
you'd end up having to charge like rental fees and insurance fees, and like if you break it, you bought it.
You bought it.
If the camera goes missing and you're the last person here, here's the charge for how much the camera was.
Yeah, no, it's the same way here. It's just very much a kind of respectful, we're trusting you with this and we know that you're going to do this according. And really, everyone it's still to this day, and I've lived here for almost 9 years. It still amazes me how you'll just be places and people will just leave their laptop in their bag and they've gone outside or they've gone to like the store down the street and they'll come back and like everything is still there. I'm like, oh my god, no! In the US, it would be gone.
There is in coffee shops, especially in the UK. I always find people leave laptops and things, and they don't go that far though. They either go to the counter and buy another coffee, or they go to the loo. Like, they're still in the building, and there is that kind of communal. Yes, I'll look after your stuff because I too wish to do the same. But also, you're just tempting fate.
You are like I'm not a super trusting person, and so when I see that, like I'm watching the person's stuff because I'm like inside I know like no one's gonna bother it, no one's gonna steal it, but like me who grew up so many years in the US, I'm like, oh my God, you're going to come back and it's going to be gone. And I'm trying to protect you. And I'm like, I'm in a completely different country. Like, no. It very rarely happens, but still.
The other thing I was going to say about the studios is like Hako. The other day, I set up the church where I moved the pews and I put like all these candles out and I like did all the things and set the scene. And then when I was finished, I put it all back and like put everything in the trolley and pushed it back and put the chairs back. And I think again that's another thing that I don't think is in UK culture, that you would put it back as. I mean, there are. I'm not trying to like be shady against all UK cosplayers in the UK and saying it's shit, but like, I just don't think we have that same level of, okay, I'll leave it as I found it. And like, there's a reason that meats got banned at Hyde Park and like stuff like that. There's a reason.
Yeah.
Like, it just takes a couple of bad eggs to ruin something. And I think you just don't have that to the same level that you do in Japan.
It really is. It's honestly, it is a respect thing. And like, no, I get what you're saying about like, it's not everyone, but I feel like there's definitely a difference in cosplay culture between, you know, Japan, Korea, and the US. I feel like here, because in Asia, it's still looked at as something that's kind of like, that's a little different. You cosplay, you dress up for why? And so when people do it, they're very mindful of how they're presenting themselves, how they're presenting, you know, even in public when we shoot in parks, you know, how you're acting, how people are seeing you, versus in the US where it's kind of chaotic. if you've ever been to a US convention, the difference, and I tell people when they move kind of from the US to Korea specifically, and they ask about the con scene, I'm like, you have to know the convention scene here is nothing like the US, where often it's very, you know, we cosplay in the day and then at night we party. There's really none of that here. Conventions are like, you will see full-on families with strollers at the conventions here. And so it's definitely very different between here and the US.
How does it work with like photographers? Because I know in the US it's a lot of like paid shoots, and I guess there are some photographers that do location paid shoots, but I don't know how much photography is done outside. Whereas in the UK, con shoots are normally free because the conventions don't let you charge, and then most photographers like Sib will do location shoots where they charge. So how does it work in Korea?
I think it's about the same way here. We've done mainly studio shoots with photographers because the studios have them, and, you know, we'll just say, okay, can we, you know, hire a photographer? And then for most of my shoots, I'll ask friends, hey, can I pay you to come shoot my costume for however many hours? And then I think with photographers here, it's kind of the same. You can message them for their rates and let them know like where you want to shoot, studio versus, you know, can we shoot at this park or can we meet up at this location? And that's what I really want to do next year, is a lot more on location shoots, just because Korea has so many beautiful places. And so I'm trying to get like referrals from friends that I know here, like, okay, do you take pictures? No. Do you have someone who does? Can I hire them?
That was my next question. How do you find a photographer in another country? Because obviously that's something that we've kind of looked at going to Japan, and it's very hard to find Japanese photographers because they're just not really on social media in the same way that I think the UK are.
Yeah. So I honestly will message cosplayers. It does help to speak some of the language, but, you know, if not, let me tell you, Google Translate, it can take you a lot of places. But I'll just ask them, because I will look at their pictures and I'm like, okay, where did you shoot? Like, this location is amazing. Can you tell me where it is? Or can I have the name or the email, you know, of the person who took these photos for you? One thing I will say is in these, like in Korea, and I think probably for Japan, there can be what I like to call the foreign fear, where it's
Right.
they'll look and they see and they're like, oop, English speaker. That's not going to happen. So you kind of have to be aware of it. For a lot of it, it can be just that. It's a fear because they're looking at the language, they're looking at the, ooh, I don't really know how this is going to work. But some of them will just be like, yeah, okay, let's just try it and see how it goes. And others will tell you, oh, no, I only shoot friends. And you just kind of have to be aware and not really let it offend you because it's just kind of how the culture is.
Yeah.
But some of it can be amazing. We did an underwater photo shoot here.
I was going to ask about the underwater shoot.
And I had been...
I was like, I need
yes!
to...
I had been wanting to do an underwater shoot for the longest time. I was like, y'all, like, it just, I see videos from this studio and I see pictures and, like, we gotta do it. And so what we knew was this language barrier is gonna be interesting because, like, I speak some Korean, my friend Suyuel speaks some Korean, but it's kind of, you can speak a language, but then the colloquialisms and things, it's just real different. And so we just kind of went in knowing, okay, this is going to be interesting. And I messaged the studio and I told them, hey, we're interested in setting up a shoot. We are foreigners, you know, is that going to be a problem? And they were like, yeah, no, like, let's go for it. This is what you need. We show up the day of. Our photographer kind of looked at us and you could just see on his face for a moment was the foreign fear of like, oh God. They're going to be in water now.
You can't direct people underwater.
Yeah.
You don't need a language underwater.
That's what we told him. We were like, if you just, you know, thumbs up for when you got a photo and just tell us, like, go, we promise you, we've done photo shoots before, you'll be fine. By the end of the shoot, the atmosphere was completely different. And like the way the handlers were, we had people just from the studio coming kind of into our room to watch. Like, oh, wow. What is going on here? We hear laughter coming from down the hall. Like, what is
people
this?
having fun in our studio? How dare they?
And I think they got to see, like, okay, clearly, you know, not everyone speaks the same language here, but wow, it's like a party in this room. And we told them, like, we'll be back. And they were like, please, like, anytime y'all want to do this again, like, the photographer told us, was like, message me, we'll set it up. Like, yeah, let's do this again. And I think one of the reasons I like cosplaying so much in Korea is to kind of show that you don't have to have that fear, you know, of foreigners. Like, even though we don't speak the same language, we both clearly have the same hobby, and that's kind of what should be most important.
Yeah, I think it's a common thread, right, that ties us together in quite a nice way. Yeah, I did make a note in, like, to mention the underwater thing. I don't know if you've seen it, but Coco did Ariel, and I think you had an Ursula, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I have seen.
Yeah, and I remember seeing them and being like, absolutely stunning. Like, I love underwater cosplay. It's something that I do, and it's something that Sib does as well. She shoots it. She's very good at shooting it. So it's such an unusual thing. So to see it happen, and in Korea, and it be cosplay, it's just such a nice little thing. Kind of like, we're the same, kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so nice.
Yeah. And no, I love your underwater shoots. I keep messaging Suyuil and I'm like, oh my God, when are we doing another one? Like, I keep seeing these videos. We gotta go back. Like, your underwater videos, they're just so, like, I just want all of your tips because I didn't know until that shoot how unable to sink in water I am.
Oh, yeah.
Because
when we did, I was so floaty. I'm normally pretty good, but the last shoot we did, Nat was like, we did the Death Note, we did Misa and Rem, and Nat was just dragging me under because I was just floating to the top like a leaf, and I was like, I hate this.
I think there's a video where she actually grabs you and just goes no and pulls you back under.
Yeah, we've got a video of me floating back up, and Nat's like, no, you're not done.
That was me the entire shoot. Oh.
Yeah, we've learned
and
a
you
lot.
did your first shoot in a full mermaid tail as well, which is not easy.
Yeah,
oh my God. Yeah.
Did you lose a whole leg?
The tail, I thought the tail would be easier because I was like, the fin, has a little weight to it. But because I think my fin is not foam, but something similar, so it just floated too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've only worn a silicone tail, and even then, and that's weighty, even then I had real trouble with it. Because you've got so much power in one movement, suddenly you're like the other end of the tank, and you're like, well, that's that. But yeah, I love underwater photography, and I am always happy to talk underwater photography. And so I don't know if Sib is, because Sib hates editing underwater photography, but are you
I
always
don't
happy
hate
to talk?
editing, it just takes more time.
It does take a lot of time.
I commend you so much for being able to edit, because I look at some of the photos and I just looked at them and I was like, yeah, we're not even gonna try to fix these, because the air bubbles and the lighting just
Yep.
I'm just gonna look at you and appreciate you on my own.
Did you get to pick your photos, or did they just send you like, here's what you got, or like how did that work?
We did. So with a lot of the studios here, what they'll do is they'll tell you, you'll get to pick this many photos, and those are the ones that they'll edit. And then
Right.
after, they just sent the rest of the photos, and they were like, if you want to edit them and use them, like, feel free. So we got to go through and choose, like, okay, these actually look great. I want these edited and made beautiful, and the rest of them, then I just kind of go through and I'm like, okay, let's see what my editing skills can do. Oop, not much. Okay, I understand.
That was me with Miku. I had such a bad time as Miku, and then Sib sent me the contact sheet, and I was like, oh. And suddenly it was really difficult, because I just walked away from that shoot being like, it's a write-off, I'll bring her back, it's fine. And actually I was like, I'm so good. When we left Sib taking the picture, but like,
that wig was a time,
it
though.
was, yeah.
You
Miku
are my
underwater.
hero, because that wig is so long. Like, I struggled with my area wig, and it just reaches like about my shoulders. And you have this Miku wig with the pigtail, just
Yes,
amazing.
like leveling up the difficulty. I did want to ask a question about editing, which kind of doesn't fit with this underwater that we're talking about, but I'm gonna go there anyway.
Sure.
But I know with a lot of like Japanese editing in particular, it's very edited, like very photoshopped faces, simmed bodies. Is that something that you have to fight against in Korea, or is it not the same?
It can be. It really depends on the photographer. And then some of them have very specifically in their guidelines, like, this, I can do this editing if that's how you want it. And so we usually kind of look for photographers like that, just because my entire group were foreigners. So looking at some of the pictures, I'm like, I really don't want you to go in and, make me 8 shades lighter, or decide, like, let's slim this down. Like, no, just edit the lighting, maybe the background, smooth the hairs down. But some of them we had one time, I think, where we're going through the photos and looking, and it was a new photographer that we had last minute booked at the studio, and as we're looking at it, we were just kind of like, something is off about these photos. But it wasn't something that, like, you could just tell specifically. And then we looked at a few that we'd snapped on my phone, and we realized he had gone through and edited, like, the cleavage
Oh.
out of, like, about half of our friends' photos.
That's
And it
so
was just
strange.
it was just so strange, because, like, mine was still there, and so it's like, you're looking, you're just like, what? Why does this photo seem so weird? And then when we clicked, like, we just laughed for the longest time, because it was like, out of everything that you could edit, like, you took it upon yourself to be like, oh, that's a little much. Let me change this for you.
Oh my god, Sib, that's a new level you need to add now to your
Removing. But I've heard of people adding a cleavage, but I don't think I've ever.
And that was the thing. I was like, and it wasn't like, it was like, oh my goodness, ungodly amounts of, chesticles. No, not at all. But it was just such a random thing. to just take it upon yourself with the photos. And I think that was about the only time we've had someone edit where you were like, wow, okay, thank
Such
you.
a wild choice of all the things.
The
So
Like you
most
strange.
said,
wild
bigger I
choice.
can understand, but like,
Yeah. Like I can imagine
oh,
adding shading and, you know,
no,
adding
you're gone.
elongated the line, but yeah,
It was
just to
like he
not
went
have a cleavage.
through and
It's so
just
strange.
smoothed the line over.
That's so strange.
Nice. I'm assuming it was like a female presenting character, right?
It was, yeah. And it was,
Yeah, so
we did League of Legends, we did KDA, and we made
oh
like
yeah,
Christmas
so
outfits for them. And it was my friend did Evelyn's character. So, you know, she's kind of the sexy one in the group.
not to that guy. He was like, not on my watch. No,
So
please.
strange.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah, I can understand it if it's like a child character.
Yeah.
And you're like, this child has got way too much going on, but KDA?
No.
Really?
KDA, he said we are making KDA family friendly in this house.
yeah. That's so funny. It's like
God.
KDA PG or something. Like he just didn't want that to
It's
happen.
like Disney Channel KDA.
We just need the wand to make the Mickey head. We're all
Yeah,
petty.
that's exactly what I was thinking of.
That's so weird. And for only one of you as well. That's even wilder.
Yeah,
Like,
and that was the thing, was like, I think we had equal amounts of cleavage, because I did Ari, but
right.
my cleavage was in all the pictures, so I don't know what the thought was behind that.
He like slipped and was like, well, we have to do all the others now as well. Like
Just started,
Okay.
it was like, ooh, bad idea.
yeah,
He's
too
like, well,
late
I've
now.
committed now.
That's so funny. Okay, I do have one more question that I wanted to ask. So you started in America, you've been in Korea for 9 years. Where do you want to go next, if there is a next, or are you happy to stay in Korea?
I'm so happy kind of where I am. I think having been here so long, I've been able to just build kind of a great community around me. And I think that probably really helps, is that I have like a great group of friends here that I just do so much with. I love my job and where I'm at. And I think Korea is just a great place. There's always, sometimes too much, there's always something to do here. And for me, it makes me so happy being able to be in a place where I can go where I want, do what I want. Public transportation, like Japan, is just great. And there's just so much to do. I just, for now, here is where I want to stay.
That's fair.
Like,
Honestly, yeah, very valid.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do you have any advice for people that want to visit Korea and, maybe convince their partners that they should go to Korea?
I definitely do. Number one, I promise when you come, you will eat so much. The entire trip will be worth it.
Yes.
But number two, just, it's such a kind of great, interesting place to visit. I honestly tell people, like, if you could make it here once, there's just so much to see. If you like history and architecture, the palaces are absolutely stunning. If you like food, there are so many different outdoor markets and, places where there are just rows after rows of food stalls. If you like pictures, there are so many picture spots. If you like shopping, oh my God, there's a lot of shopping. And I think just as a whole, the people can just be very kind. A lot of people are so excited to just meet you, and they're very willing to help you. And it's honestly, it's a great country. And I love having friends come visit, taking them around and just letting them see kind of, why I've been here for so many years.
We'll have to find out if that advice works and if Lydia's going to Korea next.
I want to go. I want to go so bad. So,
And if you like if you like Gundam, we have like about, I think, 2 or 3 Gundam bases here in Korea. So, I don't know if that helps either. That was a big draw point for my brother. He was like, you have Gundam bases? Oh yeah, I'm coming.
Sadly, that does not work for me, but it might work for Matt and Jack. So.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, they I know a few people that like the robots.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening. I've been Siobhan.
And I've been Lydia.
And today our guest has been Coco of C0c0cosplay. And before we go, Coco, if you could, what would you Ctrl-Alt-Delete?
Oh, goodness.
It doesn't have to be cosplay related or...
Decaf coffee.
Yes! Person over my own heart.
I have such a deep hatred for
It's for the weak.
coffee.
Yeah,
decaf. I don't understand. Like, you drink coffee because some part of you wants that caffeine, and if you're not getting it, why? Just why?
Yeah,
What a waste of time.
Honestly, yeah. I'm lost in place. I'm 100% of one. Sometimes we get things and I'm just like, what? No, but this one, I'm sold. No explanation needed. I'm there. I'm on that page. Right, cool. So you can find Coco at C0c0cosplay on social media, sort of Instagram. Where are you based?
Oh, goodness. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Threads. If there's a social media, I'm probably on there with this name.
Perfect. And you can find us on all social media platforms under Ctrl-Alt-Cos, or alternatively go to ctrl-alt-cosplay.co.uk/social and see them all there. You can listen to the podcast at Ctrl-Alt-Cos on both Spotify and YouTube, or ad-free, plus a day early over on Patreon. Patreon members will also gain exclusive access to outtakes and stories, and plus after-hour specials, and that didn't quite make it into this episode. Next time, our guest will be Fletcher of etiquette Photos and Kingswood Cosplay, and that will be coming out November 18th. Enjoy the sneak peek, and we'll see you soon. Goodbye.
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 Also made some of the general flapping that happens at the start of a shoot make more sense, because I used to just sort of stand there and be like, Sib is doing some wizardry. And I'm like, she's doing like white balance and stuff like that. That is what she's doing.
Playing with my Rubik's Cube.
She's not just like whispering magic to the camera to make it do pretty things.
I am. I'm just going, please, just once. Just don't fuck it up, piece of shit.
Want to see your favorite cosplayer or photographer on the show? Get in touch at info@ctrlaltcosplay.co.uk.